most people, probably who are not even aware of much of what the Bible says, and know about the mark of the beast and know about the Antichrist and 666. But very interestingly, many people are not even aware that the Bible does not only speak about this person and this 666, but it speaks also about another individual and another system that works together with the person we refer to as the Antichrist. And this is what we want to look at today. We want to look at this second individual and the second system. We want to look at the Antichrist, the false prophet, and the Pope. Very interesting too. This is a discussion on the Roman Catholic Church and the second beast of Revelation chapter 13. Revelation chapter 13, which is a chapter that speaks about this person we normally refer to as the Antichrist. It speaks actually about two different what it refers to as beasts. Two beasts. One beast coming up from the sea, one beast coming up from the land. And John, who's the person writing the book of Revelation, who's having this vision, he speaks about these two beasts in this chapter, Revelation chapter 13. The first beast is the person we commonly refer to as the Antichrist, although John does not call him that name. John calls him the beast. Paul in 2 Thessalonians refers to him as the man of sin, but John does not refer to this person as the Antichrist. We use that too, and probably the term Antichrist is better applied to the second beast. Revelation chapter 13 verse 1 is where he talks about the first beast coming up out of the sea, and as a political entity, an entity that goes to conquer the earth. But in that same chapter, verse 11, Revelation 13 verse 11, he talks about another beast, and he went on to describe this other beast. And very interestingly, it is this second beast which we should probably be paying more attention to rather than the first beast, because most of the time we hear about the Antichrist, most of the time we hear about 666 and get fixated on that. But when you read the book of Revelation, especially chapter 13 and then chapters 17 and 18, you begin to realize it is this second beast that is of even greater concern and of greater importance, and we will see the reason why as we get into this today. This second beast, Revelation chapter 13 verse 11, is what the leader or the head of that is what the Bible refers to as the false prophet. And you can see that in chapter 19. When you go all the way down to Revelation chapter 19, you will see that the leader of this second beast system is called the false prophet. Let me just say this before we go on. In the Bible, in the prophecy, when the Bible uses symbols like beasts, the term beast in Bible prophecy generally refers to a political entity or an empire, a kingdom, and it also refers to the person who is at the head of that, the leader of that. So in Revelation chapter 13, when John said he saw two beasts, one of those beasts referred to, that's the beast in verse 1, referred to a political entity, a military entity, and the leader of that that's going to conquer the earth. But the second beast, which is the one we are focusing on today, is a religious entity, and we will also say a little later on it is an economic entity, it's a political entity as well. It is very vast, and the leader of that is called the false prophet. And again, you could read Revelation chapter 19, and I believe it's around verse 10, but you could read Revelation chapter 19. This second beast and the false prophet, who is the head of that, is of great concern. And what we want to do is to get a little understanding of what the Bible says about the second beast and this false prophet, and why this beast is of more importance to us than the first, because it is this beast who is going to control things. And so what we're going to do is very briefly skim through Revelation 13 from verse 11 and also Revelation 17 and 18, very briefly skim through these and take some of the description the Bible gives about the second beast and see what this beast really is about, and try to identify who is this false prophet. Is this person here today, this beast, this second beast? Is this system here today? And if it is, what do we need to do? How does it apply to us? The first beast, Paul sometimes calls him the man of sin. In this chapter, he is called the beast. Paul also calls him the son of perdition. But the second beast, as I said in Revelation 19, verse 20, is called the false prophet. He's a religious and an economic and a political system. This second beast is a religious system, it is a political system, and in a big way it is an economic system as well. The major thing about the second beast is the religious part of it. Very, very religious. This is really a duet working together. It's not one. When we read about what the first beast does, when we read about this man of sin, the person we normally refer to as the Antichrist, generally when you read about him and what he does, it's not him alone that the Bible is describing. It is actually describing him working together with this second person called the false prophet. And so it's a duet, and most people don't realize that it's not just one person functioning, it's not just one system. It's two systems working together, two leaders working together. It's the first and second beast. It's the man of sin and the false prophet. In 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 9 and 10, the Bible talks about that this person called the man of sin, he will come with signs and lying wonders, and he will deceive many people. Really and truly, he will not be doing the signs. It is this second beast, and we will read it just now. This is the beast who will be doing the deception. This is the person, the false prophet, who will be doing all the miracles, and he will be pointing people towards the first leader, which is the man of sin. Usually we use the term Antichrist to talk about this leader who is going to come and conquer the world. And the word Antichrist is found in 1 John. The person who wrote the book of Revelation also wrote the book of 1 John, 1st, 2nd and 3rd John. And in 1 John chapter 4, he used the term Antichrist. And he says Antichrist is really a person who denies that Jesus was in the flesh, that he came in the flesh. Antichrist is the person who denies the Father and the Son. In other words, Antichrist is a term that is used to refer to any person, and particularly the spirit, who denies that Jesus was really born and that he's the Son of God and our Savior. That is what Antichrist is. It is a denial of Jesus. So the term Antichrist is really better applied to this second beast, because this second beast, this false prophet, he is the one who will be going around and turning people away from Christ, but pointing them to worship the first beast instead, the man of sin. And Revelation 13 shows that he is the one who will be basically shifting or trying to shift people's focus away from Christ. So he is better called the Antichrist. But we will look at that as we do this. So to get an understanding of this, we'll just do a brief and a very quick overview or summary or a quick synopsis of Revelation chapter 13, chapter 18, chapter 17 and 18. Quickly, in Revelation chapter 13, in verse 11, John said, I saw another beast coming up out of the earth. The first beast was in verse 1, he came out of the sea. The second beast is in verse 11, he came out of the earth. The word another in that is the Greek word allos, and that word allos means another person who is of the same kind or the same type as the first person. So basically he is saying this second beast is just like the first, and he says that this beast has two horns like a lamb. And probably the two horns refer to the word horns in Bible prophecy refers to authority or power or rule. And this could probably refer to the political and the religious power that this second beast has, that this false prophet has. He's a religious leader, but he also is a political power as well. And it says that he spoke like a dragon, which talks about the source. This second beast has the same source as the first beast. Both of them are controlled and empowered by the dragon, who is Satan. Right? It's the same source, but he looks like a lamb. And that is where the deception is. It says that he causes worship in verse 12, Revelation chapter 13 verse 12. And that shows us his function is generally a religious function. This person doesn't take worship to himself. He is directing worship to the man of sin. It's the first beast. And he's trying to get the world to worship that person. So he's really functioning in a religious capacity. He's like a priest. He's like a religious leader. And he's directing people to another person to worship. But very interesting, verse 14 says that he does great wonders or miracles, and because of that he deceives the world. The interesting thing about this is the word for wonders there, sign, miracles, verse 14, is the Greek word semeion. That's the same Greek word that is used in the Gospels when the Bible said, when Jesus says, these signs shall follow them that believe. These signs is the same Greek word semeion that is used here for the wonders or the miracles that this false prophet is doing. In other words, this false prophet is going to be doing some things that will look very close to what God does, and so it will be very difficult not to be deceived. And the Bible actually says that he will deceive the world. And it says that in verse 15, it says that he will cause the world to receive a mark. And everybody knows about that mark, 666. But the very interesting thing is, it didn't say he will force the world. It says he will cause the world. And this is the other thing that we need to point out here. The first beast is not the person, the man of sin. He is not the person who will bring about this mark and cause the world to take this mark. It's the second beast that is doing it. It's the false prophet. And the way he will be doing it, when you read chapter 13, verse 15, 16, and 17, he'll be doing it through economics. This religious leader called the false prophet, he will have economic control as well. So we looking for this religious leader who will have a global influence as a religious leader, but he will also have control of things economically. And because of his control on the economy, he will be able to enforce a mark. And that mark, he would require people to take that mark, because that mark will be the sign of worship, the sign of commitment, the sign of surrender. It will basically be saying that I submit to the beast, alright, and to the beast system. The first beast, who is called the man of sin, he will not be enforcing that. It is the second beast, and that's why this second beast is more important for us to focus on, because he is really the one behind the scenes controlling things, and not really so much behind the scenes. He's blatantly open, but he's controlling things, and he will cause people, not force, but cause. It's like during COVID, when they told us to take the vaccine, they didn't take a gun and put the gun to our head to take the vaccine, but they caused us to take it by telling us you wouldn't be able to go back to work, or you can't go certain places, or you can't fly on a plane. You need to get the vaccine to fly and to travel. Nobody put a gun to our head, but we were caused to do it. And it's the same. So there's a system setting us up for this person called the false prophet. He will cause, and it's through economic control, which is very interesting. This is a religious leader who also has economic control. But when we go to chapter 17, we get some more information about this false prophet, this religious leader. In chapter 17, verse 1, verse 5 and verse 18, the Bible tells us the identity of this system. It tells us what the system is, so we could know this second beast, and we can know the leader, the false prophet. It says this is Babylon the Great, the harlot, mystery Babylon, and the mother of all sins, the mother of all harlotries, and so on. So this system is a system that came from Babylon. Is a system that came from that religious and also economical and political system that we know as Babylon way back in the Old Testament. We know about that. When we read Isaiah chapter 45, Isaiah chapter 54 as well, Isaiah chapter 47, we see where God in the Old Testament was addressing Babylon, where this person, the system, of Babylon was existing long since way back then in that time. But Babylon, if from that time, all the way in the Old Testament, it moved, it transformed, and it changed into a different form or in a different entity today. Through the years, it moved from Babylon, and then it started functioning in Rome, which was the empire that was alive and functioning in the time that John wrote the book of Revelation. And then out from Rome, we got the Roman church. Well, there was the Catholic Church first, and over the years that developed into the Roman Catholic Church, because there was different splits. When you look at church history, the Roman Empire, after it fell, that was, I think, in the 4th century AD, after the Roman Empire fell, that allowed different groups to start developing. And one of the groups that came out from that is the church. It's what we know as the Roman Catholic Church and the papacy. It came out from the void that was left when the Roman Empire fell. And then from the papacy, or the popes, that led the Catholic Church, then you started to have the Catholic Church spreading in different areas. And then after that, there was the Reformation, until we come today with all the different denominations that we have today. But the Roman Catholic Church is still existing, and that came out from Rome. It came out from the fall of Rome, the disintegration of Rome, and Rome came from Babylon. This same Babylon, the mother of all harlots, that Revelation chapter 17 is speaking about. So when the Bible talks about the second beast, the second system, it is speaking about a religious system that had its roots way back in the Old Testament, but today it is the religious system that came out from the Roman Empire. And that religious system is the church we know as the Roman Catholic Church. And it doesn't mean that all Roman Catholics are wicked people. It doesn't mean that everybody in the Roman Catholic Church is wicked. But the system is what is corrupted, according to what Revelation 17 is saying. And the leader, the one at the top, is the one that is, the Bible refers to as the false prophet. But we'll go on and we'll see. In verse 2, it says that this system, this beast, this second beast, has corrupted worldwide political leaders and nations, countries, corrupted them with sins. Because as a religious system, this is not a holy religious system. It's a corrupted religious system. There's doctrines, teachings that are not biblical within this system, what we know today as the Roman Catholic Church, because it came out from Rome, which came out from Babylon. There are belief systems that are not biblical. And then also, when you read verse 2 and verse 3 and so on, it says that this system, it lives luxuriously, or the Bible uses the word deliciously. In other words, it's a system that has real, wealth. It lives very fleshly, loose living, satisfying itself. And that has been happening through all history until today, presently. When we trace Babylon and how it lived. It was always a place where there was wealth, there was prosperity, there was luxurious living. You come to Rome, same thing, and then you come on to the Catholic Church. Even up to today, when you look at the wealth of the Catholic Church and what it has in terms of property, in terms of possession, in terms of its financial resources, and different banks all over the world where it has accounts and so on, it's very wealthy. And that kind of luxurious living is what characterizes the church, and that's what Revelation 17 is speaking about. And then verse 6, Revelation 17 says that this system, this religious system, is guilty of the blood of saints and the martyrs of Jesus. And when you go from Babylon all the way to Rome, and you see, and to the Roman Catholic Church, and you see through history the amount of religious wars that were fought, and the amount of Old Testament saints that were killed because of Babylon, and then in the Roman times the amount of believers that were persecuted. And then when you come to the Roman Catholic Church with all the Inquisition and everything that started taking place there, you see the pattern of saints, believers being killed by this church. And so that's what verse 6 says. But verse 9 tells us something very interesting. It says that this system, this religious system, is located on 7 hills, which is exactly where the Roman Catholic Church is. When you see the location of the Roman Catholic Church in Rome, it is spread. It is located in an area where there are 7 hills, 7 literal hills. But it also, those 7 hills, when you read Revelation 17, also refers to 7 different empires that this religious system span over. And so it started in Egypt, it continued functioning in Assyria, the Assyrian Empire. It was there obviously in the Babylonian Empire. This religious system continued in the Persian Empire, Grecian Empire, in Rome, and then Rome would obviously be revived again. We know that based on Daniel chapter 2, and that religious system will continue even until then. Revelation 17:15 tells us that this religious system it spans people from all over the world, multitudes, different nations. In other words, the globe is covered by this religious system. So this is not a light system. The first beast, which is what the man of sin controls, he would only be around for 3.5 years when we read Revelation 17. So that system is for a short period of time. But this second beast has been there from years, thousands of years ago, coming up until the present and even into the future. So this is the system that really is in control. And that's why this second beast is of greater concern to us. And it says, the last thing it says was in chapter 17. It says that there are 10 kings who will be working together with the man of sin. And those 10 kings will fight against this religious system and make it desolate. It will destroy it. And apparently it might be a nuclear war. When you read Revelation 18, it appears to be like that. So there will be fighting, there will be war. This is coming towards the end of the 7 years. Towards the end of this time when the man of sin will be in control. Towards the end of that time, the 10 of the leaders that are with him will fight against this religious system and will destroy it. It will be a destruction, because that's how God will judge it very justly. And then Revelation 18 tells us about that judgment. But it gives us a little more information about this beast, which we know as the religious system. It says that it is the home of devils and every foul spirit and unclean and hateful birds. So in other words, this is a system that is not pure. It appears to be godly, but is really corrupted. It is wicked. It is evil. It is a religious system that presents itself as holy, but is really unclean. And then verse 3 of Revelation 18 says that it influences people and political leaders and businessmen from around the world. So look at the influence or the spread that this religious system has. It does not only influence religion and religious people, but it influences businessmen, it influences political people as well. This is a big system, and it controls for a period of time the man of sin and his military system that is going to conquer the world. And so we go on in Revelation chapter 18. It says that she will be judged. When you read verse 5 all the way to verse 19, God will judge her. And the way that God will judge this religious system called Babylon the Great is by the 10 leaders or 10 kings who will be working together with the man of sin. God will use them to fight against this religious system and the leader who is called the false prophet. Now, when you read Revelation 18, it appears to be a nuclear war that will take place, and they will send nuclear warheads towards Rome, towards the Pope, the residence of the Pope and the papacy. It seems that's what will be taking place there. And Revelation 18 goes on to tell us that this system, this political system, is full of pride and luxurious living. It describes how luxury and the wealth of this system. But it says that it is a system that deceives all nations because of its sorcery. That means all of its wickedness, its evil. And then very interestingly, the last verse in Revelation 18, that's verse 24, it says that this religious system is guilty of the blood of prophets, the blood of all saints, and the blood of every person that was killed. Imagine that. So this system is a system that was there from the very beginning, where there was the first murder. The first murder, Cain versus Abel, was religious. It was because of sacrifice. Cain killed Abel. And this system called the second beast here, and the leader is the false prophet, from then until now continues to exist. And it is this system which is responsible for the death of all that is slain. And this is primarily a religious system. And so we know the description about this. It is a religious system that also has economic power. It also has some political influence, and its influence spans the entire globe. This system also is not only a system that just arrived today. It has been here for years, for centuries, for millennia. It has been functioning, and so it has a history of control over the earth, and it will be controlling the military things that takes place during these 7 years when God will be judging the earth. It will be the system that will be controlling the man of sin. It will be the system that will be directing what we call the mark of the beast. This is the system. So the identity of this system is really a religious. For us, we could narrow it down today as the movement for unity, religious unity, and even now the big thing today is climate change and getting unity amongst the nations and different people to protect our environment. All these movements to unite religions and to unite the world under these common causes, headed by the Roman Catholic Church, it is that system which is identified as this second beast of Revelation 13. So to put it more plainly, the Roman Catholic Church, together with all of the different groups that it is trying to bring together, especially all the religious groups it is trying to bring together, is what the Bible calls as the second beast. And the leader of this Roman Catholic Church is what the Bible refers to as the false prophet. Today, of course, that's Pope Francis, and whether it is him or somebody who will come after him, it is this leader of the Roman Catholic Church who is what the Bible refers to as the second beast or the false prophet. And when we look at the description of him, and the description the Bible gives, when you look at what's going on right now, it seems as though this is the person that we are speaking about. But we're not sure. It could be someone after him. Alright? So the leader of this Roman Catholic Church is what the Bible refers to as the false prophet. And again, I want to say it is not necessarily this present leader, Pope Francis, but it could be someone after him. However, when we look at the prophecies, when we study what the prophecies say, and we look at what's going on in the Roman Catholic Church, this present leader, this present Pope, is a very strong candidate to fill this role the Bible calls the false prophet. So how does that apply to us today? What does that have to do with us today? Well, the first thing is we should as we live today, because of the deception that's taken place, because of all of the things that have become so normal to us, which really is abnormal, we should become more and more aware of what is taking place. Revelation 13:11 gives us a warning that we should focus on the things people say and not on how they look or how they appear. So when it comes to the Roman Catholic Church and the leaders in the church, especially the Pope, we should be paying attention to the words. Revelation 13:11 says that this second beast looks like a lamb but speaks as a dragon. So today we need to be paying attention to what the church says, what the Roman Catholic Church says. And sadly, even some Protestant leaders are now trying to work together with the Pope and trying to come together and do work together. I mean, there's nothing wrong with doing work, but when it comes to the belief system and what is being said, what is being taught, that is what we need to pay attention to, because these words that will be coming out is not the words of the Lord, it is the words that come from the dragon. And we need to be very careful with that. And also, we need to take note, this religious system that the Pope controls will become increasingly move away from focusing on Jesus as the central figure, and it will begin to focus on other things and other individuals as priority. And we need to take note of that. We will be seeing the Roman Catholic Church focusing less and less on Jesus as the only way for salvation. And instead, the church will begin talking about other means of salvation. As a matter of fact, it's already beginning to see some things along those lines. We will also begin to see the leader of the Roman Catholic Church, the Pope, and the church as a whole beginning to do things more in science and developing more in science and doing things that will be of more marvel to us, more amazing things to us, more scientific discoveries and different inventions coming from the church that will point towards more and more amazing things, until eventually we will start actually seeing some signs, some serious wonders, miracles taking place within the Roman Catholic Church and the Pope specifically. We will also be seeing a joining together of the Roman Catholic Church with other religious beliefs, other religious systems. And these other systems, one of which will be Islam, will begin enforcing its own requirements, its own laws. In other words, there'll be a joining of belief system, and what's supposed to be the church headed by Rome will be condoning and actually agreeing with these other religious systems, primarily Islam. Islam is one of the religions, especially with radical Islam, that condones killing people. And the Bible tells us in Revelation 13 that the second beast, which is the false prophet, he will cause to be put to death anyone who doesn't receive the mark. That is what Islam does. That is what radical Islam does. So we will be seeing the Pope and the Roman Catholic Church joining hands more and more with radical Islam and allowing Islamic law and beliefs to become more and more normal and more accepted. But we'll also begin to see this Roman Catholic Church having more and more economic power. It already has, but more and more. This whole push for preserving our climate and concern for climate change that is one of the ways, one of the things that will be used to cause the Roman Catholic Church and religious systems to become more and more in the forefront, because they'll be pushing this agenda, but that's not really the thing to be concerned about. The thing to be concerned about is the economic control that they will have because of this agenda. See, the thing with climate change and all of the laws that countries want to pass to protect our environment, there's a lot of economic things that goes together with that. And because of the economic control that would take place because of the emphasis on climate change, that economic control is what would allow this religious system to advance more. So for example, because of climate change, what they say now, what political people say, and even religious leaders like the Pope says, that we need to reduce our carbon footprint, and we need to change the way we do business and change the way that our industries function. And there's a cost to that. And so economics begin playing a big factor when we deal with climate change. And this economic factor is what this Roman Catholic Church will be more and more in control of, and will become more and more in the forefront of as time goes by. And this the Roman Catholic Church has a global reach, but we will begin seeing more and more of the religious systems joining together globally. As a matter of fact, they already do. The world's religious system already meet on a regular basis. Religious bodies around the world globally meet with the Pope on a regular basis. Every 3 years they meet, and they met this year, September 14th, I believe it is. Not this year, last year, 2022. They met and they discussed things, and we will see globally more and more world religions coming together so that they reach the spread of this Roman Catholic Church and its doctrines will be more and more global, more and more accepted. And we will see political leaders and even more and more common people becoming more and more involved with the Pope, because he will become more and more accepted, and he will be doing more and more business with political leaders worldwide. And of course, he will have more and more economic power, economic control. So what do we need to do? The Bible tells us in Revelation 18 verse 4, come out from this system, from this religious system, which also has economic control and some political control. How do we come out from this system? Revelation 18:4, we maintain a proper belief. Don't get caught up with the wrong teaching and the wrong belief system. The Bible keeps talking about the fornication of this system. When you read Revelation 18, it talks about that fornication in the Bible, in prophecies, generally refer to worshipping false gods or wrong belief system. And so this is what we need to maintain a proper belief so that we don't get caught up with wrong doctrines. We need to ensure that we know what the scripture says, we understand what it says, and stick with that. Because when the Roman Catholic Church makes statements in conjunction with other world religions, it may sound good. When it begins to talk about climate change and how we need to preserve the environment, and therefore we need to act in certain ways, it may sound good, but we always need to be checking things against the word. Also, how do we come out from this system? We need to separate from the worldly and fleshly lifestyle, the luxurious lifestyle, the loose lifestyle that has been rampant within the church, within the Roman Catholic Church. Because when you see in history the luxurious lifestyles that they have been living, the popes and all the other people, but the fleshly lifestyle as well, we need to separate from that. Again, Revelation 18:4. Also, we need to get away from pride, self-trust, and opposing God, because that's exactly what this church does. When you read Revelation chapter 18, the church, the religious system says, I am a queen and I am not a widow, and I will not lose children. It was a boast of pride, serious pride, and we need to get out from pride. We need to get that away from us, and we need to pray for God to deal with this system. In Revelation 18, the Bible says, pay to her what she paid to others. Fill out the judgment to her that she gave to others. In other words, judge her. And we need to pray that God deal with this wicked religious system, that He intervenes, and that he brings the judgment that is necessary, and that He takes away the evil from this religious system. And of course, the last thing Revelation 18 talks about is that the murders that this system has committed, this religious system, and we need to keep ourselves from that, from the murders, from the slander of believers, from the going against believers, from fighting against believers, because that's what this system does, this religious system. It is against God and believers. And so if we are to come out from that, we have to keep away from that kind of lifestyle. And so this is a brief look at this second beast, which is a religious system. The head of this second beast is called the false prophet, and we have identified this system as the Roman Catholic Church, together with the other religious system and the other economic system it is working together with. That is happening now. The current Pope and previous popes have been having meetings with world leaders, world religious leaders, Islamic leaders, Hindu leaders, all the religious leaders. They have been pushing towards economic things as well, as far as global climate change things are concerned. The Pope, he has continuously, all the other popes, including this current Pope, have been having many gatherings in the papacy that deals with scientific things and biological things, and even things to do with education and so on, and all these are different outreaches that the Pope and the Roman Catholic Church has to advance its agenda, and we will be seeing these things happening more and more. So we need to take note of that, and we will see the marriage or the coming together of the Roman Catholic Church and its beliefs with the Islamic world, especially radical Islam, and we'll begin to see them working together more and more. We'll be seeing the Pope condoning what the Islamic leaders do and working together with them, until eventually what we will see is the rise of an Islamic political entity that will take forefront in conquering the world and in advancing. When we talk about the man of sin and the first beast, we will talk about that, and we will show that it is really an Islamic caliphate that will rise up and that will start to spread across the world, which is what the Bible speaks about when it talks about the man of sin. That will be an Islamic leader, and it will work together with this false prophet who is a religious leader. It's the Pope, the head of the Roman Catholic Church, working with the other religious leaders, and we'll see that moving forward more and more. So in the next video we will talk about the first beast, which is the man of sin, and what this system is about and how it's functioning and how we are headed there more and more. We'll be looking at more not only scriptures but some of the practical things from the news and the other political things going on, geopolitical things going on in the world, so we could see how these things are moving forward. But for now, this is what we are looking at with respect to the false prophet. So I'm praying that this is a blessing to you. Drop me some comments if this has been good to you. Subscribe to this YouTube channel, like this on Facebook, share this video, leave your comments so that we could continue some conversations. But I'm really hoping that this is a blessing, and look out for the other videos that will be coming on this channel. And so God bless you. Thank you very much.